We begin the news in West Africa, where Nigeria's Minister of Labour, Employment and Productivity, Simon Lalong, has convened a meeting with labour leaders at the nationwide strike begins. Leaders of Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress are expected at the meeting holding on Tuesday. The labour union said on Monday ordered their affiliates to withdraw their services nationwide from midnight on November 14, 2023. TUC President Festus Osifo disclosed this while addressing journalists in Abuja. The strike is also to protest the battering of the NLC President Ajaero and some other executives of the Congress in Imo State on November 1st, as well as the pending labor issues in Imo State. Nelson Ekujimi, public affairs analyst, joins us to unpack the rest of this latest development. Thank you so much for joining in, Nelson.
Thank you, Ravili. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to our viewers.
All right, now let's, of course, get the ball started right now, where we understand that, let's start with the consequences of disobeying the National Industrial Court order by the organized labor, of course, which we understand is still standing. What is your take on this?
Well, I think it's for any right-thinking person who wants a society that is based on the rule of law and order. Disobeying court order is condemnable in all applications. It's not something anybody should, contemplate. It's an invitation for an act. We all recognize that we live in a society that is governed by constitutional democracy, in which there are laws, and where we can exercise our rights. It's because there's law and order. If there's no law and order and we're in the banana republic, then might be right when we return to the Operation state of nature. That is why, disobeying court order is condemnable and unacceptable in any form.
Now, what do you think of Labour's stance to go on strike? I mean, the reason for their strike, one of it being the battering of their leader, of course, in Imo State. Do you think it's enough to suffice for this particular strike action?
One, it is that a court of competent jurisdiction has barred labor from going on strike. Disobeying that court order will not suffice for any grounds for going on strike. Then, secondly, the battering of an individual, subject of a labor union leader, is an assault on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's a criminal matter. And, you expect any law-abiding citizen or law-abiding organization to have done the needful. And what is the needful? You either petition the relevant security agencies or you go to court for the enforcement of your fundamental human rights. But in this case, what we are seeing is an abuse of power by forces masquerading as, advancing the cause of the society. And I know the only way you can advance the cause of the society is if you follow the legal channel. And the legal channel is what the law allows you to do. But if you do anything outside of the provisions of the law, then you are inviting anarchy. And that is exactly why the grounds for going on strike cannot suffice in the face of this flagrant disobedience to a lawful court order. And we must not also forget that the Inspector General of Police, in line with his constitutional mandate, has set up a panel to a committee, investigative panel, to look at the issues there with regards to the practice. And like we always say, you cannot be a judge in your own case. The court of justice does not run in that way. When you agree, you come to a neutral habitat. But in a situation whereby labor has alleged, labor has prosecuted, labor has convicted, and their conviction is that they are going on strike. It's something that we should be happy about.
How do you think the government should actually react to this defiance by the labor leaders?
I think one of the ways the government will react to this, because government is an octopus. It has so many years. It has access to a lot of things that we as individuals don't have. If you ask me, is for the federal government to go to the industrial court to seek a contempt charge against the labor union, because you can't operate in a society in which we have labor laws, and the labor unions have subscribed that law, which is the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you are flagrantly disobeying it. But as a government, so many options are available to it. But whatever the government is doing, we expect that the response of the government should be in tandem with the provisions of the laws of the land.
Now, what steps do you believe need to be taken to address the root causes of poor working conditions and inadequate salaries in Nigeria, which of course is one of the reasons for this strike?
Well, if labor is claiming it's gonna, then they are masquerading. They are not being sincere, because if there is an issue with regards to labor disputes, there are channels to follow.
But don't you also think that Labour might have exhausted these channels? This is not the first time Labour is meeting with the government on many of these issues that border around welfare.
Therefore, we are not privy to it. Even when the discussion started, we were not privy to it. And if the discussion has broken
we were not privy. We might not have been privy to the details. I mean, most of these meetings were closed up, but I mean, just this year alone, we know that Labour and the government have met on several fronts, right, to discuss welfare issues.
Well, you know that welfare issues have a channel for which it must pass through. As we speak, we are aware that the federal government has set up a tripartite committee involving the federal and state government, organized private sector, as well as Labour. Labour has not come out to tell us that that committee has not been, has not been alive with duties or the function for which it was set up to perform. We are talking about the issue in Imo State now. Labour has not told us that the federal government has reneged, but we are all aware, as persons who have members of our family in the organized employment, in the official employment, we are aware that from September, the promised 35,000 naira week award has been implemented. Other demands that Labour agreed with the federal government, and they both subscribe to those agreement terms, are being implemented. It is for Labour to come out and tell us that, oh, we have agreed within X number of days, and this thing is not being adhered to. We have not had anything from our partners. This is our next plan of action. So give notice. But for us to just wake up and Labour is giving a 48 hours notice, I don't think that's how Labour issues to be, because Labour issues is not a matter of two enemies. It's a matter between partners in progress who can disagree to agree. That Labour is up in arms against the employers today does not mean tomorrow they should not be at peace with one another, because the Labour as well as the employers need one another to ensure productivity and betterment of the life of both the employer and the employee. So going this route of civilizing strike at the slightest press of the button on even matters that is outside of labor related, because when we're talking about Battering has nothing to do. If you look at the labor terms and conditions of employment, is not there. It's a criminal offense. Is a crime against the state, and there are agencies of state charged with the responsibility to investigate and prosecute. And any responsible citizen or group must submit to such, due process to the law, rather than taking the law into your hands.
All right. Okay, I mean, just quickly in 30 seconds before I let you go, what is your opinion on the recent trend where we see, of course, associations and individuals just sort of get caught in junctions, on issues that, one might question as the veracity of some of these court injunctions. So we have injunctions countering injunctions over another injunctions, and it makes the judiciary look like a pawn, in the game of certain individuals. Don't you think, to some extent, it also waters down the power of the judiciary? Hence, we see where this play out, where the Labour is, defiance to court injunctions, right now.
So that does not in any way legitimize the legality of defying a court injunction. Whether the court injunction is gotten from court A and you have gone to court B, we all know that the court in Nigeria has different layers. A court injunction gotten from a high court can be vacated at the upper court, which is the Court of Appeal. So if your opponent has gotten an injunction at the lower court, it is not for you to tell us that injunction is illegal. You don't have the right. It is only the court of law at the higher level that has the power, to vacate such injunction and declare it illegal. So we must educate ourselves at every point in time, no matter how big we are, no matter how big we are, that we must not always submit to law and order. That is the only way we can have development in our country.
All right, Nelson Ekojimi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Mr. President.